Partnership between Russia and India has always been a curious case for the West, especially when trade between the two countries have increased more than 2 times. But to be honest, there are lots of reasons for Moscow to worry about the future of its relations with New Delhi. Hello my friends, this is Shafi and welcome to the new episode of Polit Affairs. Before beginning, I want to ask my Indian and Russian friends who watch this video to share their opinion with us. So is Russia really losing India? This question is raised at practically every conference, workshop or expert meeting on Russian-Indian relations since the end of Soviet Union 30 years ago. The predominant views expressed by participants are pessimistic. They say Russia is losing India or it might lose India in near future unless some dramatic actions are not urgently taken. There are some serious reasons to laugh at such a claim. However, it is hardly possible to simply dismiss the gloomy predictions as well. Indeed, positions taken by Moscow and New Delhi on many of the important Eurasian or global issues from Ukraine to Afghanistan, from Chinese One Belt One Road to the concept of Indo-Pacific are not identical, which sometimes leads to suspicion between the two. In 2020 and 2022, Russia and India did not even hold their traditional annual summits, and it's not clear when the leaders of the two countries met. Even the military cooperation, which has always been the basis for their relations, is not having the best days so far. Over the last 5 years, Russia's share of Indian defense imports went down from 60 to 45% and is likely to shrink even further in the near future. Moscow has to confront the rapid expansion of Western presence in the Indian arms market and the current Made in India strategy pursued by the Indian leadership. On top of that, there are questions in India about the reliability of Russian weapons, Russia's compliance with delivery deadlines, and the after-sales customer service. The trade between the two nations might look like a bright spot in all this. It skyrocketed in 2022 and reached an unprecedented $35 billion. However, this spectacular growth became possible almost exclusively due to the increase of Russia's deliveries of crude oil to India. Moscow is selling a lot of its oil to India at heavily discounted prices. The same policy Iran has been practicing with China in recent years. On top of that, the Indian export to Russia did not change in any significant way. But the level of relations between the two countries is not bad now. These are just warnings, and it could be the same for other powers too. I mean, maybe authorities in China, European Union, or even United States should also be worried about losing India. Why? The answer is clear. Because India matters. The country is simply too big, too powerful, and too important for the whole world to be lost by anyone. Modern India has a booming economy, a vibrant society, and an ambitious leadership. Its current foreign policy and security portfolio are much larger and more diverse than they were 2 decades ago. Economic gap between large poor population and small rich ones in India might be huge, but progress brings hope for the people, and hope helps more progress. This is why I call the Indian huge population vibrant. In order to simplify, I'll bring an example. Iran. This country might be very interesting or attractive to many around the world, being under sanctions and isolation for 5 decades, but still surviving and thriving. But large number of people inside Iran have lost their hope. They are not poor, but without hope, the country is gonna have serious problems. Returning to our topic, it should come as no surprise that Russia's relative share in this portfolio may become more modest, not because New Delhi has decided to break away from its traditional friendship with Moscow, but because India is committed to exploring new international opportunities as well. Russia have changed, and India have changed too. Having relations with Russia becomes more and more problematic as the war in Ukraine goes on, and India is breaking from its traditional policy of not crossing Western red lines, especially drawn in London. So relations between the two powers will become one-sided as Russia needs to have India by its side, especially when it comes to economy and military issues. And the West tries to attract New Delhi more than before. And who's gonna win this game? Apparently India. There is another third player factor in this dilemma, China. Year after year, Russia is moving farther east, strengthening and developing its multiple ties with China. Year after year, India is shifting farther west, increasing various forms of cooperation with the United States. This trend contains considerable risks. If it continues in medium term, the two friendly nations may eventually find themselves in opposing geopolitical, economic, and technological blocks as the Cold War era. Now, the Cold War system of the 20th century will be once again resurrected in the international system of the 21st century. Over time, it will become increasingly difficult for Moscow and New Delhi to even maintain bilateral cooperations at the current level, let alone its possible deepening. So Russia, India, as well as many nations all around the world have a lot to lose and not so much to gain if they are forced to take sides in the US-China conflict. It is in their common interest to resist the emerging bipolarity and to emphasize on promoting multilateral mechanisms of the international cooperation. And here it is very hard for Russia to manage and balance its own relations with India and China, and also have a balancing hand in relation between Beijing and New Delhi. The same as Russia's hardship to balance between its relations with Iran and Arab countries in Persian Gulf. If Moscow commits minor failures in its policy, it could lose an important player. This is the reality Moscow has to encounter after selecting an aggressive policy. But can Russia take actions to avoid this? I guess not. The only thing Kremlin can do is to give more discounts on oil and supply them with more advanced warfare. And I think this is not going to change the route India has taken. This is it. As always, don't forget to share your opinion in the comments and to share this video with your friends.